Howdy, right from Tapio Farms. Before I start off, I'd like to express that when you're buying a tripod so that you can shoot better videos, make sure that it has the right attachment. Maybe one of those little grabber things on the end for your phone. What a waste of money. I'll see if I can return that, but eventually we will be having better videos, better quality shots, and framing. But for now, we are doing it redneck style. So, we're going to start on the next batch of microgreens. Let me flip the camera around so I can show you. Okay, so I've got a bucket full of soil. I've got my little trowel. I'm just going to essentially pile on the soil in there. And I poured maybe a half, 2/3 of a gallon into the bucket, mixed it up so the soil is nice and damp. Because I've found that if you bottom water it, after you have the dry soil in there, the water does not properly soak into the soil. It takes a long ass time, and I'm not in the business of taking long ass times. I'm in the business of getting it freaking done fast and pumping out the product. Okay, so we're throwing some soil in here. Not wearing gloves for this part. I don't think it's necessary, but might change that as time goes on. Okay, so essentially, I'm going to get the soil in there. I'm going to sprinkle some seeds. We're just going to do arugula and broccoli. And maybe we'll do a couple flats of radishes, but not as many. Then, I have this little ditty. Bought a new sprayer. This frickin' hunk. Because my other one broke. Let me see, which brand is that so I can put it on blast. Yes, so don't buy this crap. Green Thumb. Garbage. Because the seal on the top broke. So, anyway, we're going to fill this up with soil. We're going to put some seeds on there. We're going to just do the normal thing. Throw a tray. Got some new trays, by the way. Throw a tray on top of there after the seeds are down. And then we're going to germinate. We're going to get the fan going, the dehumidifier going. And we're going to start germinating some mamma jammas and work on our next run. It's going to be 10 flats. So, ideally, we're going to weigh all the flats when they're done. See how much ounceage, see how much weight we get off of the each flat. And sort of calculate how much money we would make if we brought them to the farmer's market, which we might still do. Maybe this will be the first run where we show up to the farmer's market with some stuff, some goods. Got to make some calls. But yeah, it's going good. We're getting back at it. We're getting back at it. Let's see. What do I have to talk about? That's pretty much it. We're just doing the standard stuff. Filling up the trays with wet soil and putting some seeds down, putting the top tray on. We're going to use some bricks as weight, just some normal bricks, until we can get some paving stones that will essentially fill out the tray, right? Because we want an even weight distribution across the seeds in order to promote root growth down into the soil. So yeah, we're going to do this. Probably wait. Might come back tomorrow night, maybe tomorrow morning, check on these things, see how dry the soil is. Depending on how dry the soil is, we might do a little bit of watering. I'm thinking maybe 1.5 to 2 cups of water per watering per day. We'll do it. Might be a little bit overboard, but I'm pretty sure that that's what I've heard other people do. So I'll do a little bit more research on that. I'll find out what Donnie Greens is doing. And yeah, just standard stuff. We're going to water them every day, check on the seeds, probably going to pull the top trays off on day 3, maybe 4. What we discovered after being lazy and leaving the top trays on for 5 days is that the stems will grow very long if you leave the top trays on longer. So, hypothetically, if you left it on longer, you might be able to speed up the process because you'll have the stems already very long, and then once you expose them to light, you're just essentially allowing the leaves to green up and shoot up. If that makes sense. So, but the problem with that is that being under the trays longer is making it easier for mold to grow. So we want to open up the space as soon as we can and let air flow in, right? So that the soil can dry out and mold isn't growing on top of our seeds, which is what happened last time when we left them on for 5 days. So another countermeasure that we're using for mold to combat mold with our combat boots on is this little baby. This buddy, which is a Petra Tools Built Rock Solid HD 101, 1 gallon, or 3.8 liters. And what do I have it filled with? I have it filled with 3% hydrogen peroxide, right? And the reason I have it filled with 3% hydrogen peroxide is because when I got these trays and when I cleaned the other trays, I sprayed them down front and back with the hydrogen peroxide, right? So that there's no mold spores on the trays. Now, another step, which I've been reading about, which I'm going to do this time, is when I put the seeds on the soil, okay, I'm going to give them a little squirt. I'm going to give them a little spray with the hydrogen peroxide. Which sounds crazy, sounds lunatic and vile. But I think it'll be fine. And what is going to happen is that we're going to just make sure that all the seeds and the soil is sterilized underneath the top tray. So that's the plan. We're going to put the soil down, put the seeds down, give it a little spray with the hydrogen peroxide, and hopefully that's going to be enough to prevent mold, along with the dehumidifier and the fan. Now, other people soak their seeds for 24 hours in hydrogen peroxide. Might be doing that next time. But this time, we're just going to start going. We're just going to start chugging. And so I think next time, ideally, the night before I'm going to harvest, I will start soaking seeds. Pea seeds, radish seeds, because those are larger and more prone to mold, right? I'll start soaking them for 24 hours. So after I harvest this run, I will have soaked, sterilized seeds that I can then put on the soil immediately after. Immediately after the harvest, I can just go back to back runs, because we want to have as small a gap of unproductivity as possible, so that we can just start pumping out microgreens. And yeah, so that's about it for this run. So we're gonna have 10. If all 10 trays go perfectly, and we've got Microgreens, I might actually end up bringing these to some grocery stores or some restaurants just to get things started. If I don't have the farmer's market spot set up yet. What else do I've got little plastic clamshells, because probably got like 200 of them or something, because I am broke. And as much as I want to do a mason jar style container recycle system, right? That is in the future. I've come to terms with my reality. I've went outside, I touched some grass, I talked to some wise people, and I've realized that using mason jars for distribution of microgreens is actually really dumb. I mean, it sounds very smart, and it is if you have the capital and the subscriber base, right? You have the money, and you've talked to people, and you've done some due diligence and some market research, and you've talked to your subscribers, and they've agreed that I will take part in your container recycle system so that we can save Mother Earth. Now that makes sense. If I had these people, let's say 100 subscribers, and I could get 10 of them to agree to use mason jars instead of plastic clamshells that are going to end up in a landfill. To me, that would be worth it for them specifically to sign them up for the container recycle program, where I bring you a jar of microgreens, and then on my next delivery to you, I will pick up that jar of microgreens and wash it out, and the cycle continues. We are not wasting anything then. We're not throwing anything out. We're just recycling. I bring you the milk bottle with the milk. It's just like the milkman, right? I bring you your milk bottle. I don't know if this is actually how they did it, but this would make sense. I bring you the bottle of milk. It's glass. You use the milk. You wash it out. Next time the milkman comes around, you leave the bottle on the porch. Milkman comes and takes the bottle, washes it, uses it for more milk distribution. Less waste. Okay? So yeah, that's what we're going to do. For now, we're going to use the plastic clamshells. Once we have the subscriber base built up, that's the distant dream, right? Once we have the subscriber base built up, once we have a customer base that is willing to take part in the container recovery program, or whatever we're going to call it, then we will start doing that. But right now, mason jars are extremely expensive. For some reason, frickin' glass jars are extremely expensive. Thank you, unforeseen world events that totally ruined everything for years and made everybody panic buy all the stuff and made all the prices go up. Thank you. But yeah, anyway, mason jars are too expensive. They're getting more and more expensive. Essentially, we're going to do that when we cross that bridge. Okay? So for now, I've talked too long. For now, we're going to get this soil on the trays. We're going to get the seeds on there. We're going to spray it down with some hydrogen peroxide, get the top trays on there, put some weight on it, and we'll see where we are in a couple days. All right, peace.